Obviously, we have some biased opinions about this. Why every child should have a pet. Okay, we've been taking some flack. Vicky,
Getting in trouble with a few parents.
I have gotten in trouble with a few parents because we put up a video a while back about how to convince your parents to get you a dog. Now, before you resist too much, just go watch it. Okay, click on that it'll cue it up for you so that you can watch it right after this video. And you'll see that maybe it's not quite so threatening as it sounds. Because as a parent, you're like, oh, I'm not sure I want my kids to have a dog.
All right. So why would we want our kids to have a pet?
There's some pretty good answers to that. Pets give you an opportunity to practice some things that are really important to life.
Especially to learn for adulthood.
Right, like responsibility, for example. Now, Mom, this is why you're not so sure you want a dog, right? Because you know who's going to end up taking care of this animal. Right. Is this true, Vicki?
There is so much truth to
You were
that.
the mom through now 2 dogs in our home. Mom is the one who takes the primary responsibility for that dog. Now, this is not necessarily bad news, okay? Because you can use that as an opportunity to teach your kids certain things, like responsibility, or budgeting, or feeding, or care, or whatever it is that pet needs. Your child gets to take some responsibility for that. I had a mom I was working with, Vicki, who had this beautiful idea. I thought it was awesome.
Okay, what is it?
Now, she had 2 kids. Okay?
All right.
She told her 2 kids, I have 4 mouths to feed tonight. Okay, do the math for a minute.
Mom, dad, kid,
brother, sister.
Kid. Okay.
Well, those might be the 4. But this dog is helpless. So if he doesn't have anything to eat, I'm going to make sure that his mouth is one of the mouths that I feed tonight. Now, that's pretty brilliant.
Yeah, it is.
Okay? No kid has ever died by missing dinner.
Right.
All right? So we're not advocating starving your child. But what you can get to is, look, I'm going to feed 4 mouths tonight. If one of those is the dog, then you're on your own. But I trust you to be able to come up with something there.
Well, and I think a thing about responsibility that I love is it's not a lot of the stuff that we have to do as adults. You have to do out of inconvenience. And sometimes taking care of a pet, taking care of a pet teaches you to do some things out of inconvenience simply because it's your responsibility.
Right. You don't feel like doing it. You're too tired. You had a bunch of homework to do during the day. Well, that's the weather report.
Yeah.
And that's one way you can talk about it in your family. It's just the weather report. We still have to get the animal fed.
Yeah.
They still need the care. So it teaches some really great life principles as a result.
One of the things I love about having had a dog in our home when our kids were little is just the supportive relationship that becomes developed between the children and the dog.
Yeah.
So we have 4 children, and we got our dog. She lived with us for 14 and a half years, and we got her when our youngest was 1. So they're from 1 to 8 years old, our kids were.
Yeah,
okay?
when we first got the dog.
Yeah, when we first got the dog. So this dog was there through all of the teenage years for all of them, into the young adult life of some of them. And it was so interesting, we had a few stormy days with some of our teenagers.
What? Dr. Paul and Vicki had stormy days with their kids?
I'm just saying there might have been at least 1 or 2 times I can think of when a child wouldn't speak to us for 3 days.
Hey, you guys, how do you think we know this stuff? This isn't what you learn in a book at school. You can learn it in the trenches.
But one of the most beautiful things is when he wasn't talking to us, he would go and he'd sit with the dog. He would tell the dog things. And when the dog's life, she became very old and very ill, it was so interesting. We were kind of reflecting as a family, and every one of our kids said, Crystal was who I could talk to. There were times when she was the only one I felt like I could talk to. And they would have like these little conversations and tell her things. So there's this real relationship of friendship, of support, both for the dog and the dog for them.
Look what this dog was able to teach her kids too, because she never judged them. She didn't even talk back. She just listened.
Right.
And she loved them no matter what, and even if.
And if they hurt her on accident or whatever, she was as quick to come back and forgive. So we used that as an example in our family about, look how quickly she forgives. When somebody does something, you say you're sorry. She's licking you and sitting there right on your lap again. She wants to forgive you as quick as possible.
One of the reasons that people don't want to get a pet is because they know something about the inevitability of what you just mentioned. Crystal, our first dog, lived with us for 14 and a half years. She saw Lindy through from being a 1-year-old baby to being
high
a
school.
teenager, almost 16 years old. She basically raised these kids with us. And we developed real relationships with her. So when the time came for her to pass on, it was hard.
It was really hard.
Probably. In fact, we're watching a movie the other night. It's called Marley and Me.
Oh, don't do it.
That was a bad idea. No, actually, it's a really good movie, but it tugs at your heartstrings because it walks you through the process of losing a beloved pet.
Right. You know, we can't get out of this. If we love people and have relationships, we're going to have to deal with loss of loved ones. And
It's
having
true.
a pet, as hard as it is a really good place to practice and to process that whole experience
Yes.
of losing someone we love.
So watch this. The reason you might be avoiding it could be one of the best reasons to do it. Because that now becomes an opportunity to learn a real life lesson about loss. You're probably going to lose this pet rather than the pet losing you. I mean, unless you're really old or you have some accident happen or something, most likely you're going to lose the pet.
And one other thing that I like through the loss is it gives you an opportunity to talk about, even after they're gone, to celebrate the fun, to talk about how fun it was, or do you remember
Yes.
when so-and-so, when our dog did this and things, which I think is a really great skill to learn, that even when our loved ones are gone, we can still talk about them, we can remember them. They can be a part of our life still.
Once you have the relationship, I've heard it said, and I love this quote, the only way to take the sorrow out of death is to take the love out of life. And for this experience and to have that kind of a relationship, you really don't run into a pet owner who has put their pet to rest, who says, I wish I never would have even had that pet. Because the pain is worth it when you consider all of the value that happens with the other benefits that we've talked about. And we're not telling you that you have to get a pet, but we are teaching your kids how to convince you to get a pet, so you might want to start thinking about it in the ways that we've suggested here. We were serious earlier when we said watch that next video about how to convince your parents to get you a dog. You're going to see some things in there that you totally agree with as a parent, just like you will in the other aspects of our parent coaching program. Go to the description below and get signed up for your free parenting breakthrough call. We'll see you on the inside.
Her head was down, face locked onto the phone.